We begin tonight with the federal crackdown on FedEx. As illicit drug trade explodes online, regulators are now honing their sights on FedEx, accusing the carrier of shipping prescription drugs from illegal online pharmacies. A former undercover special agent for the DEA joins me now. Robert Mazur is the author of The Infiltrator, a memoir about his life undercover with drug lord Pablo Escobar's Colombian cartel. We cannot show his face for his own protection, but he's joining us now from Florida. Robert, welcome to the show. Great to have you here. First off, explain to our viewers a little bit about your career as an undercover agent.
Sure. I was a federal agent for 27 years, and for the greatest portion of that, I worked on attacking and identifying the command and control of the Colombian cartels and their money launderers. And for all but 5 years, I did that in a traditional sense, with search warrants and informants and those types of resources. But for 5 years, I volunteered to become a long-term undercover agent and to infiltrate the money laundering systems of the cartel. And so I got the opportunity to do that and to see how the cartels run on a first-hand basis. I wound up laundering, for the purposes of getting the evidence needed to indict hundreds of individuals, I functioned as a money launderer for the cartel.
So we're showing pictures now of lots and lots and lots of cocaine that was seized by you as you were doing this undercover job. So you know a thing or two about how all of this works. Tell us about the government's charges against FedEx. Basically, they're saying that the company conspired to deliver prescription drugs for illegal internet pharmacies. How so?
Well, they allege that basically driven by profit, FedEx made decisions to provide courier service to some companies that they specifically knew were run by individuals who had been indicted, and that were companies that were created to take over the business that was done by those that were shut down. And it also claims that it set up a payment system for internet prescription drug suppliers in a different manner than they did for any other types of customers, to protect themselves, because they knew full well that there was a very good possibility that some of these prescription drug providers, internet providers, were going to be indicted and shut down. And in the past, when that had happened, they lost a substantial amount of revenue that was due because it was given, services were given out based on credit. So, is this government charge credible to you? You were deep inside the illegal drug industry. Did you see anything happening between FedEx and these narcotics drug lords? I liken this to the relationship between international banks and drug cartels. When I dealt with senior management within international banks, they knew that I was a representative for the Medellin cartel, but they created a paper trail and a plausible deniability so that they could take on these high-risk accounts. Now, an indictment is just an allegation, so this still needs to be established in a court of law. But the allegation is that, similar to the way banks have operated in the past, where they have taken on high-risk accounts intentionally knowing that they were moving dirty money, in this instance, the allegation is that this courier service, FedEx, knew full well that they were moving illicit, diverted prescription drugs.
Well, I got to tell you, if you're a regular American trying to find drugs that don't cost an arm and a leg, you might go online and look, and the sheer fact that FedEx might deliver it for you might make you think it's a legitimate website. Tell us how consumers out there who are looking for options for drugs, want to buy them inexpensively, how can they make sure they're not buying from an illegal site?
Well, you know, with respect to whether or not somebody's operating illegally, there should be a visit to the doctor. There should be various protocol that's done before a prescription actually gets filled. These companies clearly weren't doing that. But you've got to really look at the heart of this problem. The heart of this problem was created by the pharmaceutical companies that created the OxyContin and oxycodone drugs. And admittedly now, after having pled guilty to misleading the public and misleading government agencies that these drugs were not addictive and that there were certain time-release factors that were incorporated in the drugs, they sold and made billions of dollars high marketing these drugs. And what happened? Those people who were dependent upon opiates, heroin users, people who wanted to abuse painkillers, wound up getting these drugs. And that is why we had so much of this type of prescription opiate available to the public. And if you look at the case that was brought against Purdue Pharma in 2007, they admitted that they falsely marketed this. Now that has created an explosion of pain-killing centers and doctors that issue painkillers.
We're well aware of that, and we've seen that. And it's certainly a very complicated topic, Robert. As you go, just very quickly, tell us, what are the risks of these online pharmacies to consumers, to real people out there who might be wanting to take some of these drugs to buy something cheaper? Should they do it?
Well, if they've got a legitimate prescription, and they're dealing with a company that is verifying that, and then there's not an issue. It's the issue really all boils down to whether or not the internet prescription provider is going through the appropriate protocols. So as long as the consumer has gone to a doctor, that this is a legitimate prescription, getting them filled in different areas is perfectly legal. It's only when those people who want these drugs, who don't have the right type of prescription, seek them, that the problem is created. Well,
and of course, consumers can get hurt buying them online from pharmacies that are selling drugs that are tainted or not what they're cracked up to be. There are lots of dangers on both sides. Robert, this is a complicated topic, as I said. I hope you'll come back and talk to us more about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, interesting stuff, right?